Hello, welcome everyone to another business tasting with Friendly Wine Shop. I'm Antonio Palmarini, and today we are going to cover the north of America, four wines of four different states and one country outside the US. But except California, so California is the most famous. We're going to see what is outside California in North America. So today we are going to start with a Riesling. This Riesling coming from Canada, from Finger Lakes. Then we move to New York State. Then we move to Oregon, and then we move to Washington State. So we're going to see these three states of US plus Canada. I prepare a bit of presentations of North America, but California. We start again with this lovely picture that, you know, Alison, I love this picture. Already for the last time. And yes, it shows where the vitis vinifera, the vines which produce grape wine, is growing in purple, but also shows the average temperature, which here, for example, is the 10 degrees average temperature, which goes up and down during the globe, and the same thing of the 20 degrees average temperature. Also shows the latitude in degrees north and south, and between 30 and 50 is the best area of production of vitis vinifera, where it can grows better. Obviously is a generalization because the climate is different in this strip of land and also in the south. So all of these depending of the winds, the oceans, the maritime, the altitude, everything can influence the weather. And today we are going to see the first wine, which is outside this strip of 30-50 latitude degrees north, which is in British Columbia. And we are going to understand how it is produced, the wine there. So let's start to talk about Canada then, because British Columbia is a state, a region of Canada. Canada produces only the 0.5 of the global wine production, only 0.5%, a really, really tiny amount. It's got the history of wine production, which is very similar to England. Basically started in the late 1950s, and before that there was lots of hybrids, still now, lots of hybrids planted here, which most of them are very similar to England, like the Phoenix, Ortega, Dorfelder, the Rondo, the Cedar Blanc. But one of the most successful hybrid is the Vidal Blanc. Canada, for its cool climate, is become the largest producer of ice wine, and it is made with the hybrid Vidal Blanc, the best to resist in the very cold winter and create high yielding of ice wine in high quality as well. There are two main regions of Canada that they produce wine, and they are very far from each other. Here on the top, there is British Columbia, which is divided into four little areas. The most important is Okanagan Valley, is what actually we are going to taste today. But another very important area is in Ontario. Ontario, which is this area zoomed in the bottom left of your screen, where Niagara Peninsula is the best area. The vineyard here are north facing. The climate is very influenced by the lakes that are there. And basically, would be a very cold area to produce, same as Okanagan. But the lake, we are going to see also later in New York State, the lakes gives a kind of a climate effect that balance the diurnal and night temperature. Basically, keep the warmth from the day and release it during the night, but also in hot days gets in hot climate gets the cold during the night and release it during the day. So the lake effect happens everywhere in the world, not only here, but in Canada, gives the warming effect by the lake because retain the warmth, the water, and also gives a bit of humidity, which can also help the production of the ice wine as well during the winter. Climate is improving, again, like England, which we covered last virtual tasting, is improving thanks to the global warming. As I said, there are produce only 0.5% of the global production. Only 120 wineries are in Niagara Peninsula and 240 in Okanagan Valley. In total, in all Canada, is probably less than 800 wineries all around. It's still a good number, but not enough for this huge country to arrive, to enter the top 15, because Canada produces less than Russia, for example, in terms of wine. But nobody really knows Russian wine. Canada, in the last 10 years, is improving a lot. So they are becoming much more famous than what it was 50 years ago. Here there is a zoom of Okanagan Valley. Okanagan Valley is right in the south of British Columbia, and this river is well connected to Washington, which is here in the south. We are going to see, actually here there is the map, and on top of Columbia Valley, which is this, there is Okanagan here.
Right.
All right. So Okanagan is a little strip of this beautiful lake, which if you see some, I didn't actually, I didn't get some picture from internet because it looks like, for me, Garda Lake in Italy. Really, really beautiful, seriously. There are a bit of mountains all around. These rocky cliffs are not really mountains, are rocky cliffs. And vineyards all around. It's seriously a beautiful place to produce wine. But let's start to understand how basically the production here will be possible, because is very internal, so should be very continental with so much extreme climate, so probably impossible to the production of wine. But there is here, which starts from north of California and go up on the west side of the Oregon Willamette Valley, and then goes up on the west side of Columbia Valley, and then goes up on the left of Okanagan, is called, there is a mountain range called Cascade Mountains. This Cascade Mountain make possible the production in Washington, in the east side of Oregon, but also in the east side of British Columbia, because the Pacific winds, which are quite cool, so very cold actually, they go up to the mountain of Cascade Mountain and condensate and precipitate. So it rains And Okanagan is over the mountain and is quite dry. The same thing, this one is called the phone effect. This effect that the winds goes up to the mountain, precipitate, and over the valley, over the mountain is quite dry. In Europe, you can see this one in Alsace. Alsace has got the same phone effect, which makes Alsace, even if it is very high in latitude, quite dry as a region with very long sunny days. And it's thanks of the Vosges mountain. Here we are in North America, and there are the Cascade Mountains, and that's the same effect. So makes the production on the east side of this Cascade Mountain possible, and also quite dry. In Alsace, the summer are dry, but then the winter are a bit wetter. Here in Okanagan Valley is more similar, but then we're gonna see in Columbia Valley, which is here, a bit southern, is super dry. It's kind of desert-like. Here instead remain semi-arid, so it's not a desert, but the rainfall is very low during the summer. There is another thing which influences the weather, which is the lake, which I was saying. So even if it is sunny, it's not too hot. Actually, it's cold anyway, even if it is sunny. But the river, which is a lake actually, warms the temperature and also give a lot of risk of spring frost, for example. Here the soil is sandy, loam. Loam, I never talk about loam, but loam is more found in the New World rather than Europe, in Australia as well, in some part, probably also in a limestone coast, South Australia, limestone coast, a bit of Coonawarra. There is red clay soil with limestone, but also a bit of loam can be found in some places of Noir. Loam is a mix of three soil: the sand, the flint, and the clay. The flint usually comes from places where long ago there was a body, a water body, and the water body released these very thin and fertile kind of soil. So the loam is quite fertile, but there is a lot of sand that is quite poor. So it's a good balance of soil here. The grapes, the most planted here in Okanagan is the Merlot, the Shiraz, Chardonnay, and Pinot Noir. Today we are going to see something that is slightly unusual because it's a Riesling, but grows very good results. Something still very new Riesling here, but that's very good results. Now we are going to see. But again, the best grape remained Vidal Blanc ice wine. I said best of Vidal Blanc ice wine with maple apple upside down cake because I was searching something typical from Canada to pair with the Vidal Blanc, and I found this maple apple upside down cake. Could be good. Could be a good pairing, actually. I never tasted this cake, but anyway. I go a bit back because I didn't mention about the grape that in Canada, like New York State, we're going to see later, the hybrids dominate the planting, still dominate the planting of the total production. And yeah, I mentioned a few hybrids, but the most planted outside them is the Chardonnay Merlot Vidal Blanc. I mean, not outside them. I mean, Chardonnay, Merlot, and Vidal Blanc are the three most planted grapes. But if you compare Vitis vinifera with Vitis lambrusca and rupestris, which are the non-wine grape, they in total are more than the Vitis vinifera. Okay, let's go to taste.
About time.
This beautiful Riesling from Okanagan. This one is made by Quails.
Yeah, nice.
Smell very fresh, real, very Riesling smell with a touch of petrol, hint of rubber, yellow creamy apple, touch of lanolin.
Yeah.
It's got super fresh acidity, but in the same time, it's got very good texture.
Yeah.
So I reckon here there is 3 to 5 gram a liter, no more than 5 at all, of sugar, which helps a bit this this texture. On the palate, is a good, well-defined yellow apple.
It's got a nice finish.
Nice, refreshing finish. Yes. It's not a wine that is super complex on the palate. On the nose, it shows much more.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very good example. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's as you said, it's got that sort of it's not overly petrol, or it's not sort of hitting you in the face with the petrol and the rubber, but it's definitely there. And it's that yellow apple, which is, and the creaminess that's sort of behind it, which is really nice. And yet, and it's got a lovely finish. It's sort of not harsh in any way. It's
not harsh at all. It's
really
very pleasant. It's very pleasant on the palate.
Pleasant, yeah.
The acidity is a good high acidity. It's not unripe. It's not tart acidity. Is a
and there's that slight sweetness to it, but it's not sweet. Do you know?
Yeah.
It's
the kind of gram
really
extra of regular dry.
Yeah.
Which can be called also dry. I wouldn't call off dry, but
no, but it's just got that that slight sort of, it's that apple, that sweet apple on it that sort of takes away the any tartness of it.
Correct.
Really
I like it. I like it. Very, 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 very pleasant.
Quails Gate.
Very pleasant. Quails Gate,
Very nice.
2019, right?
18, yeah.
18, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
2 years old. Okay, this is the wine of Canada. Now we move into US. So these are the places where the wine is produced all around US. If Canada was producing 0.5% of global production, USA is the 4th largest wine producer. So after Italy, France, Spain, there is USA. Here in USA, the California produce 84% of the total production of USA. So a massive amount is produced in California. Is the main country which produces wine here. But wine is produced also in Texas. In Texas, they make good Shiraz, also Cabernet, and Nebbiolo is produced here. Nebbiolo also in Mexico, in the south. Another country is Virginia, which is not into the top 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's not on the top 5 producing country, Virginia, but Virginia is delivering some good excellence, which I try to look for them. I wanted to introduce today, but I didn't find any wines. They produce very good Cabernet Franc. The climate there is also quite fresh because it's very is close to the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah.
But also is quite north. If you compare, is like north of California. So, but with cooler climate than North of California.
Yeah.
If we go back here, see in Northern California, the 10 degrees average is higher.
Yeah.
Here goes down, so it's quite cooler in the east side. So also that's why in the east side is produced much less wine than the west side of US. But Virginia produce good stuff. Then there is New York State, which we are going to see today. Also Pennsylvania, which produce a lot of wine, and Oregon and Washington. Washington is the second largest producing country. Washington has been producing table grape for long time. Still they do. And also for the production of candies and everything related with the grape. There is still a company there, if I'm not wrong, it's called, no, I don't want to pronounce it badly. There is a company in Washington which produces grape juice, but is the largest grape juice producer in all US. And also that one make it the production of grape high in this country. And also the production of a lot of hybrid is here in Washington, which is decreasing strongly, but still there is. Where is not decreasing is here in New York State. I mean, it's decreasing slowly, the hybrid planting. New York State is right in the south of Ontario. Before I show you Canada, I show you the Ontario, and I show you this place, which now is in not colored, because it's part of Canada, obviously. And where is Britain, Niagara Falls, which that area is Niagara Peninsula, the area in Canada. I go back to let you understand. So here, see, on the east side, start Niagara Escarpment, which is another area of production of wine, which is here. Here we go. So New York State is attached to Ontario region of Canada. There, a lot of hybrid are produced. The production of Vidal Blanc is massive. They produce a lot of ice wine here. But the region which is actually developing a lot is this area in the center, which is called Finger Lakes, and is where the Chardonnay, which we are going to taste, coming from. There is a little zoom in the bottom left of your screen, where shows where the wineries are located. And you can see now that all the wineries are next to the lake. So basically confirm what I was saying before. Here is very cold as a region, but the lake balance this cold weather and warm it up in a kind of way. So the climate is cool, wet, continental, very much influenced by the lake. The main lake which warm up more is Seneca Lake. I went to research why Seneca Lake warm up more, because Seneca Lake, of all these lakes, is the deeper, and being deeper gives this kind of warming effects. It is, yeah, quite interesting. The something similar in deep water, but in the opposite, because here the lake, which is deep, warms. But something different happens in Monterey. Monterey is a valley which starts from Salinas. Now I don't have the picture, but just telling you for your information. Starting from Salinas Bay. So imagine a bay, and then starts at the towards southeast Monterey Valley. And here we are in Central California, so it's very warm. But in the bay, there is under the water, there is the cliff, and the water is very, very deep. And being deep does the opposite effect. So cools so much the air, which makes Salinas in Central California, but very close to the bay, perfect for Riesling production for how cold it is. And if you go towards southeast to the Monterey, more you go far from Salinas, and more the temperature starting to be like supposed to be in Central California, so quite warm. So yeah, these lakes give these effects. The soil here is sand or gravel, with a bit of clay and sandstone. The sand helps to the drainage, but also gives kind of more, generally, more delicate wine, more balanced. And grapes hybrids as Catawba, Delaware, Niagara, and Isabella accounts over 60% of planting in New York State. But even here, Riesling, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir are the most planted. Are the most planted, not us. I want to write. And so let's go to taste these Chardonnay. Here is more famous for Riesling, actually. The Riesling is the most planted grape in Finger Lakes, but we have a Chardonnay, so let's go to taste. And the nose is quite smoky, quite lazy, toasty, bready, kind of rye bread, whole grain. Let's go good fruits. The acidity is lower than the Riesling before, but is still very much intense. The creaminess is quite good as well to balance the acidity, but also this one, being coming from a very cold weather, is quite ripe. It's very well picked. Very, they choose very well the picking time.
What wood are they using?
They are using second-hand, which were heavily toasted French oak. That's why probably you can feel these oaky. But honestly, this is more the smell of the leaves rather than the oak. What I can smell is more the toasty from the fumé character that you smell it in top Sancerre, for example, of top producer as well, which costs quite a lot. For example, Daguenau makes a Sancerre which resembles this flavor, but it's coming from the leaves. So it's a very high quality yeast used here. But the oak doesn't really impact the flavor, by my point of view. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's okay. I think it's as you said, it's very toasty.
Yeah.
And the lays. It's not as well balanced as I think as the Riesling.
And also, the Riesling is 27 pounds, so fantastic value for. I mean, it's good to discover for 30 pounds, less than 30 pounds, a wine from outside the US, from Canada.
Yeah.
But this Chardonnay is 40 pounds in the shop.
Really?
Not really great value for money.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good anyway. Pricey, but you know.
I think yeah, it's I'm just thinking what I'd pair it with, sort of food-wise.
Food-wise, let me test it again.
Sort of like maybe some chicken dish or something.
Smoked fish, I think.
Or smoked fish or something, yeah.
Yeah.
The chicken or smoked.
Smoked haddock.
Yeah.
Smoked haddock, yeah. Something which is not really fatty because the acidity is there, but it's quite creamy. So.
Yeah, it's very, yeah. It's got a long finish though.
Yeah, good. I like it.
I'm still feeling the finish, so, and some of the things coming through. So yeah.
Fantastic. So let's go.
Preferred style of wine, I have to say.
Say again?
It's not my preferred style.
Not your style of wine. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sort of like
probably
sort of like, yeah.
Is a bit unique as a style because it's got this strong character.
Yeah. It tastes like a lot of the Australian Chardonnays.
Yeah, Australia,
like
a bit more riper generally.
Yeah.
Good quality Australian, yeah, quite fresh,
Yeah.
really similar, yes.
Yeah, no, it's
okay,
nice.
the best of, I say New York style pizza. They make a New York style of pizza, which is very large with Pinot Noir.
Right.
Within the bracket, I'm not sure. So, okay, now we pass to the reds.
Okay.
The red wine.
So we're going to Oregon.
And we go to the Pinot country. Pinot Noir and Pinot Gris in Oregon accounts around 80% of all production. So the Pinot Noir is massively planted. Pinot Gris around 15% of the total, but Pinot Noir is the main grape here. And here you can see a bit better the Cascade Mountain. Can you see here the mountains here, which goes then up from this picture? You can see as well the Cascade Mountain. Here also the phone effect I'll explain it later. Okay, but in this side, in this area in Oregon, we don't have the phone effect because the phone effect is in the east side of the Cascade Mountain. Yeah, correct. In effect, in the east side of Oregon, there is Columbia Valley. Columbia Valley is the same Columbia Valley of Washington. They are shared. And also, interesting enough, the next wine, which comes from Walla Walla, also Walla Walla is split between Oregon and Washington. But our wine will come from Walla Walla, from Washington. Okay, come back to Oregon. Oregon, here, the climate is moderate maritime. Here is influenced very much for the cool Pacific winds, which brings fog, brings cool weather, and the climate is similar to Burgundy here. A bit more warmer, probably, yes. But still very wet and quite cool during the night, also because it's influenced by the winds, by the ocean. Oregon, by my point of view, is the best place for Pinot Noir outside Burgundy. Probably there is not even discussion. There is another little area in New Zealand, which is called Martinborough, which is super tiny. There are no much producer, probably around 100. Is developing as a region, but they produce fantastic Pinot Noir as well. But it's still too small to kind of compete to the world and to supply to the world their beautiful Pinot. But instead, here in Oregon, being the fifth largest producing country of US, they produce quite a lot, so because around 70% is all Pinot Noir planted. There are two main regions. There is the southern of Oregon and Willamette Valley. Willamette Valley is where the Pinot Noir is mainly produced and is split by many sub-regions. Now we are going to see Dundee Hills, which is here in the, let's say, in the northern side, closer to the capital, which is Portland. And these in Dundee Hills, there is a kind of soil which is the red loam. And depending on also here, it's kind of burgundy-like because here, appellation by appellation, the soil changes so much. There are places like Yamil Carlton. In some places of Yamil Carlton, the soil is very similar to Chablis, which there is Kimmerdingen, which are fossilized oyster shells from the Ice Age. So very white soil. But in Dundee Hill, of the one which we are testing now, the soil is more reddish. More reddish. When you hear the soil is red, you have to think always about one thing, the iron. And the iron is also synonym of richer style of wine. In this case, Pinot Noir. If you have to compare Dundee Hill with a Burgundy appellation, I would say Pommard. Pommard also has a bit of red clay, which gives more richer style of Pinot. Pommard is in Côte de Beaune, so Beaune, as you know, gives richer style. And yeah, this one I think is very similar to Pommard. And yes, let's go to test it then. I have it already here in the glass. This is a 2011. Very rare to find aged New World wine here in Europe. But I've got quite good supply of these.
It's got a great nose. Great nose.
Great nose, intense,
Really good nose. Okay,
ripe cherry, ripe cherry, nutmeg, cinnamon, clove.
It's like every time you put your nose in, there's something different. It's great.
A bit of game as well, hair-free. It's quite complex on the nose, and it's got the kind of slightly cherry under syrup. Probably shows a bit of aging. That is the aging that it shows. The acidity is beautiful, very well balanced. It's very high, but beautiful, beautifully balanced with the intensity of the cherry and of the flavor of these wines. The smokiness is there as well. It's quite complex.
Yeah, there's a nice high tannic effect.
Yeah, it's got a bit of tannins as well,
but not too much. As you said, like there's a
Pinot tannin.
The acidity is longish, so you're still getting that mouth-watering effect. Even later on, it's got a lovely finish.
It's beautiful. I love this.
This is a really lovely wine.
And we sell it for £38. It's super great. Okay.
That's a super cool wine.
It's a super great Pinot. Yeah. I like it so much, this winery. And actually, this winery is a joint venture between a producer there in Oregon and Dr. Lusen from Germany, specialized in Riesling. So, you know, I ask still myself why he went there to produce Pinot Noir if he's a Riesling expert. But anyway, he does a good job. So carry on, Dr. Lusen. Okay, now we move a bit north. So we've seen this part of Columbia Valley and Walla Walla, which is in Oregon. Something which I have to mention is this Snake Valley on the east side of Oregon. Are also in common with another nation, which is in the east, not in this map, which is the Idaho, if I pronounce it well, actually, Idaho, which also there they produce some wine.
Mm-hmm.
Snake River Valley. So if we go a bit north, so these Cascade Mountains split the two, split Washington into completely different regions in terms of climate. In the west side, super wet. Here, only kind of grapes like German grapes like Sylvaner, Riesling, and hybrids can grow here because it's super wet in the area of Seattle. It's called the Puget Sounds, the area. And the production is not that great, honestly. But on the east side, after the phone effect, so here is desert-like, so completely different. So from a super wet Puget Sound over the Cascade Mountain, desert-like. So here, in all Columbia Valley, the irrigation is essential or almost essential, depending on the area. And also here, like Okanagan Valley, see this river. If you carry on this river, now, if you carry on this river, on top starts, after the border, starts Okanagan Valley. So it's very close to this. And the climate is very similar in effect. But here is more, is even drier. It's even drier to extreme continental, which we see extreme continental, we've seen last time in China, for example, in Ningxia province, but extreme continental is also in Ribera del Duero, in Spain, central Spain, Mendoza, in Argentina. So we see these extreme continental a bit around. Desert-like, hot sunny days and very cool nights, influenced by the phone effect, which I explained before. So it's quite dry. And the soil is also poor, sandy, and phylloxera-free. So here there is a lot of grapes which is planted without being grafted. Phylloxera doesn't like two things. Doesn't like the frost and doesn't like the sand. And here there is both. There is frost during the winter and there is a lot of sand around. So it's not a place for phylloxera. And yeah, Washington can also do not graft the grapes. The most planted are the Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Shiraz. Here you find every grape possible. All the international grapes are here. You can find Roussanne, Marsanne, Viognier, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Gris. Whatever you think about it is here, especially French grape variety. Italian grape variety are still, let's say, more famous in Australia rather than the rest of the world. Argentina as well, but the international grape are always the French one, generally speaking. and here all of them are here. But there are some places which are better than others. Here you can produce good wines because the place being dry, sunny, and with good diurnal temperature is a perfect place to produce wine. Produce grape. Of course, it will be arid, so you have to irrigate, but it's a great place to produce wine, even if it is very high in latitude, around 50 degrees north. There are some places like I'm actually looking for, I don't find, which is called, it's not in this map actually. No, yeah, it's here. See how small it is. Red MTN. This is Red Mountain. This tiny area here. Red Mountain is probably one of the best places of top Cabernet Sauvignon. So let's say is a tiny Napa Valley of Washington. However, Cabernet Sauvignon and Syrah are very well produced all around. So we are going to see Walla Walla now. And still have the Pinot Noir here. Do you have the cup in the glass? Yep.
Yep.
There's
a very deep red, isn't it? It's a
deep red, but also the flavor
deep.
quite smoky, chocolatey,
Yeah.
beans, toasted. Touch of bell pepper as well. The hint of mint character as well. The kind of refreshing the nose when you smell it.
Yeah.
Black currant, black cherry, even more.
Yeah.
Than black currant, black plum. In Washington, when you see Cabernet Sauvignon, when you see a labeled grape, must be 85%. So it's quite high. You can add only 15% of something else. But yeah. This cab is quite rich, it's got good good ripe tannins, which doesn't disturb. I mean, I'd love to have more tannins in wine. That's why I always prefer Italians, because I like tannins. But yeah, in the new world, to have harsh tannins in otherwise it's quite difficult. It tends to be always a bit more riper, a bit more chewier, a bit more sweet tannins, like it is.
It's very very drying. It's sort of like my whole mouth is feeling like a desert inside. It's it's sort of like coated the whole mouth with dryness, but still really nice acidity. And my mouth's still watering from it. It's
yeah. Can you see
here? Long finish.
Yeah, can you see here is a desert-like, very sunny during the day. There are 2 hours more of sunlight of California here in Columbia Valley. So it's very sunny, very long sunny days. Never rains, but there is good acidity because of the nights. Here the nights is super cold. The diurnal temperature goes, the temperature goes down so much during the night, and the grapes can retain very, very good acidity. It's a fantastic place of grape wine.
This is a great wine. This is a really great wine.
Yeah,
I'm thinking sort of like a really sort of like rich sort of lamb or something like that, like
Yeah, also stack.
You need the fattiness.
Yeah, nice ribeye.
Or ribeye, something that's really marbled. So you've got that yeah, that juiciness sort of cut through. Really nice.
I like this cab.
Yeah.
In blind tasting, probably I would have said north of Sonoma Valley, California. Probably I would have said that because of the freshness, Sonoma. But yeah, it's good freshness also here in
It's
Walla.
got great freshness. It's sort of like, it
that's
feels
right.
like a young wine in some ways because of it.
Yeah.
And it's just so beautifully balanced. Yeah, great.
It's a
So
bit-
if you like this one, sort of like, obviously there's a bit of age available in this too.
I actually I didn't write the vintage on my bottles.
2016.
Okay, 4 years. Okay, I thought it was even younger. So it means that can age quite well. This wine.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can keep it alive for I would say 10 years.
yeah.
Why not? Yeah, 10 years. It's anyway a premium wine. It costs over £65. I don't remember if it is 68 per bottle. It's a premium wine. If you probably like Napa Valley, but you want something different, I think this wine is a good replacement. Yeah, it's an outstanding wine. Outstanding. Also, the Pinot Noir, I think, was outstanding. What do you think?
Both the reds have been fantastic.
The red are outstanding.
The Riesling I thought was fantastic as well.
Yeah, probably I think best, I would say Pinot Noir, the worst, the Chardonnay.
Yeah. Look, I think the Chardonnay was just a bit short.
Yeah, be short, not much complexity except the leaves. Still a good wine, awfully
It's
brown,
only
well
2 years
made.
old. The Chardonnay is only 2 years old, so would it last a bit longer? Do you think, or is it?
I wouldn't let it age. I would drink it now.
Yeah.
I would kill it, and no.
Yeah.
It's gonna age. It doesn't get any better. Can age. I mean, you can keep it other 5 years in the cellar, but doesn't get any better.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
So
the toastiness will soften a bit, will change it into probably umami flavor in a couple of years. But still, the quality will stay the same. Change the flavor, but stay the quality the same. The Cabernet Sauvignon, I think, with a bit of aging, will improve even. Will show up a bit more of a tertiary aroma, which doesn't have now. But I think the Pinot Noir is now in the peak of the quality after 9 years of age. Is on its peak, has got tertiary, has got primary aroma, has got good, lovely, intense secondary aroma, which doesn't overwhelm like much the fruit. There is a lot of spices, but the fruit is very intense.
Sorry, I missed the last bit.
Maraschino cherry, dry cherry and syrup is beautiful. The Pinot, I think it's the best you shot today. So yes, basically we done for today. We've been actually quick, 10 minutes early. Yeah, basically we've seen Canada. I do a little recap. Basically, Canada and two main regions, which is Ontario and British Columbia, produced 0.5%, and both are very famous for ice wine made by Vidal Blanc, which is an hybrid. Yes, so
I think it also shows that you know, certainly the West Coast, because of the range and the land and the geography, in some ways, it's always going to be probably a superior producer to the East Coast, because you look at how narrow the area is.
Yeah, New York State is here.
Is
here. It's quite cold. See, the average is 10. Okay, now with global warming, probably this line went a bit up. But
and
went
you get
up
more of an
here.
area.
But went up
and you've got this, and it's the mountain ranges as well. So the topography is better suited for
wine production in the West Coast, definitely.
Yeah.
If you think also California has got a bit of Cascade Mountain on the north.
Yes.
Here, just
Yeah.
here, which
Yeah.
makes possible the production here in Mendocino area in the top north. But all in the coast of California, there is the mountain range, which Petaluma mountain range is called. And if we take in consideration the three good parts of the three coolest parts of California, is one is Russian River. Russian River, because on the west of Russian River, there is the gap of the Petaluma mountain range. It's called Petaluma Gap. So basically the mountain stops, go down in altitude, and after kilometers and kilometers goes up again. So it is called the Petaluma Gap. There's kind of a door where the wind from the ocean comes in and refresh Russian River. So that's why also the name Russian River Valley. Another gap is in the San Francisco Bay, which is called San Pablo Bay, which enters Carneros and Napa Valley. And then another gap is in Salinas, which I was actually mentioning before, which is more in the central California, in a little bay.
It just brings that ocean wind in, so it's great.
Then, as I explained before, the Salinas have got this also the effect of the ocean, which is very close to the bay. Under the water, there are very deep cliffs. The water is very deep. So even if it's quite warm inland, the winds there are pushing very, very cold temperature inside the Monterey Valley. So yeah, these three gaps doesn't make the fun effect. Did you know about the phone effect? Have you ever had it before? Did someone the phone effect? This one, which basically the wind goes up, rains. And
I think you've explained it to me previously. I think you've explained it to me previously, and it's interesting because it is very wet on that other side. Particularly up there, and if you've ever been to Seattle, it's just or Vancouver and stuff. It's just wet.
Yeah, it's super.
And you just
I've never been, but should be super wet.
It's wet. I mean,
wet.
And you just get over those mountains, and it's just a totally different place.
It happens in Alsace, making dry. Alsace, you have to think about this phone effect. Alsace is the second driest region in France after Languedoc. If you think is in around 50 degrees north and is sunny, long sunny days and dry. Languedoc is in the Mediterranean. It's super hot. So it's actually a real thing. I mean,
No, as you know, we've spent a bit of time sort of down that southern Bordeaux, Languedoc area, and similarly, and again, it's also where like if you look at the UK, most of it's just too wet. Except for those dry areas that you've sort of commented on previously. So it's that balance, isn't it? So it's that temperature, the cool at night, warm in the day, that just creates the sort of the perfect growing weather sort of through the spring, summer, early autumn before harvest. So
there's the problem of
question,
the
when would they mainly be, obviously, so what, you were saying before, most sunlight and stuff like that in the Walla Walla area because of the heat. So when would they harvest typically? Would they be harvesting in
But if they do during the night, it's the best things to do,
Yeah.
I think. But I think a bit all around the world,
Yeah.
especially warm climate. Here is not warm
Exactly.
climate, but still, if you want a detach more of acidity, you have to harvest during the night, perhaps around around early morning, around starting around 3 p.m. a.m. Finishing around 6, that you have everything inside.
And are they typically harvesting sort of September?
No, here is quite long.
Long? Yeah, so they're pushing it into October.
Yeah.
Because again, they've got the longer daylight.
Yeah, longer daylight, but also the cool night, a bit kind of,
yeah.
Even the morning is quite cool, you know, so
Yes.
so kind of slow down the growing season. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so thank you for watching. Thank you, Alison, and hope to see you again. Obviously, we will. And speak soon. Hope you enjoy the
Have a
wine.
good night, and thank you, as always. Really.
And have a good night. Yes, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.